Hi, my name is Doni Owens. This is my first ever spoken word poem, and it's a privilege to be able to share it with you all. This morning, I sat down with a friend who was a stranger. There was that awkward silence, but it really didn't matter what was said. My hands were shredded fists resting on the table, slowly bleeding out. Look, I accused him. He was crying with me. Give up, he said. I said, give in. He said, give in to me. My insides hadn't stopped dying when I tried to do everything right the first time. Let me live. Give in to me, he said again. My hands slid into my pockets. Some people don't see all the loveliness that you and I see. Their traditionalism has kept them from experiencing true art and impulsivity, the kind that are flooding from my soul. No, they want me to come inside their box, and they want me to be careful. So careful, and inside or outside their box, I'm suffocated by their words, because that closed-minded stuff is contagious, an infection that I want to call legalism and judgmentalism, but that they tell me is wisdom, and all I can see are these people. And maybe I'm disillusioned. There aren't scars on my wrist, but there are on the ones across the table. And that package opener was under the mattress near my bed. And the family history starts to become so real because history repeats itself. And my history is the history shared by all of humanity of utter damnation. And it could have been me, but it's not. This is me looking on with no power, looking on in brokenness, looking on, wondering what to do until I realized that some pains can't be erased. And I'm not licensed in therapy. And I'm terrified because this disease is contagious. I'm terrified because it takes me so long to be able to cry. I decided that I would write, really write until my heart fell out in a bloody, slimy mess, exhausted of all it had to offer. To my disappointment, it remained in my chest, slowly dying. And I lie in bed at night and I think about how needy I am. I think about how I am wandering in this desert, and God won't give me a staff to bust the stone of a heart open with and stop the slow death of thirst. So I beat on that stone with my bare hands because I think I just might be able to break it. And even if I can't, at least I'll feel. And I'll be able to show him my pain and relieve my tongue with the blood that begins to ooze from my knuckles. I smile at the people that I love and loathe simultaneously and tell them that my heart is doing just fine because that situation was never as big of a deal as they thought it was, and I could take it or leave it because I'm something like strong. The facade is so easy. I would need to yell, to scream in order to communicate something with unadulterated honesty because there's a time for all things under the sun, and I have been banging things out of place, and now my fingers and hands and will are too stunned to tell my mind to stop. I need to scream. We work so hard, so bad. We are broken, dark, contorted-hearted. You too, and yet we expect that we can love, that we should be able to love, and that the people we've chosen will always be worthy. And that, if not, they'll at least learn to love themselves. Of course, we're disappointed. Disappointed. There it is. I need to scream hard. So I screamed in ways that only he could hear. And then I thought about life, and I thought about my heart, and I thought about my bloody fists, the fingers I could no longer move, my insides all still. And I thought about the man wanting me to give in. He wasn't lying. I knew he wasn't lying, but I couldn't believe him. I wouldn't believe him. Let me forget about you. Let me down so that I can run into someone else's arms. So I have something to hold against you other than your broken people. But he always sat across the table. This morning, I sat down with a friend who was a stranger. There was that awkward silence, but it really didn't matter what was said. My hands were shredded fists resting on the table, slowly bleeding out. Look, still, he was crying with me. Give in, he said. I said, I know what will happen. He said, no, you don't. He laid a hand on each fist and helped me open them slowly. The scar tissue ripped and my blood poured out and my screams poured out. And I thought I was dying and being betrayed until I saw that he was bleeding too. My blood was dead and dark and thick, and his was crimson. My heart was being drained, but through the holes in his wrist poured his living blood until I was covered with it back in the womb, ready to be born. It sank through my pores and flooded my veins, racing to refill my heart. He said, "For you." I looked up in a panic. The moment he stooped over and stopped breathing, my heart began to beat again. I was filled with him and whispered, "Life, I need you." He was silent only for a moment until he opened his eyes. To hell and back, so I could be revived. Thank you.